Hello, my name is Leon Weinstein, and I am an emigre from the Soviet Union. I left the USSR in 1973, lived in a number of different countries, experienced several different governments and regimes, and in 1986 settled here in Los Angeles, California. During last couple of years, I saw how my ex-homeland, Russia, becoming more and more zombified. Of course, the propaganda is to blame for it in the first place, but also an absence of truthful information about the other ways, namely those practiced in the West. Uh, Russian-speaking population, constantly lied by totally corrupt Russian media, is not shown any alternative to strong leader who is the father of the nation and without whom life would be unbearable. It happened once in the Stalin era, but right now it's happening again and repeating itself practically. This is why I started a video blog in Russian language aimed at people who still interested to know facts and make their own decisions. I'm doing it for a while already, targeting both Russians who live outside of the United States and Russian-speaking community in the US who want to explain certain things to their children. But have no facts that they can use, or who cannot build arguments to counter socialist and fascist, as a matter of fact, ideologies prevailing today among the American educated youth. From time to time, I apparently say something relevant and important because I start receiving dozens of requests to repeat this or that, what I said in English. This happened recently to me, and when I posted a monologue that I called to our dear and beloved children before they make their final decision about socialism. I thought that might be really important to give facts as we, those who came from the cold and know what we're talking about. And here we are. Here is a repeat of my Russian blog in English. Germany was one of the greatest countries of the recent past. It was and still is famous for their philosophers, composers, writers, scientists, and engineers. The country went through a terrible illness called fascism. They themselves call it National Socialism, Nazism for short. As a result of a war they themselves started, the country was divided into two parts. One called Eastern Germany, socialist country, socialist district, and Western capitalist section of district. Even the capital was divided by a wall that was patrolled mostly from one side, guess from which one, and whoever attempted to jump the fence were gunned down mercifully. Guess again by which side's border guards. If you guessed that compassionate socialists of the East did it, you're right. There are no terrible, capitalistic sharks. Whoever does that, isn't it strange? If Americans would start shooting people who attempt to cross our borders, no one would cross, right? But we're not doing that. Half of the people from the socialist East Germany wanted to escape into the western part, and none wanted to escape from the capitalistic West. If they would really want, no one would attempt to stop them. Go whatever place you want to go. All socialist countries attempting to stop civilians from leaving and shooting those who attempt to escape. And all capitalist countries attempting to stop people from entering. Here's my first question to my beloved children and children of my friends. Why it is that from socialist sectors, people always want to escape while praising them, and from capitalistic sectors, everyone is complaining and whining, about, and very few, almost none, leave? Think. The only thing we're asking is think. Think by yourself. Do not allow con artists to make useful idiots out of you. However, I was told several times that the ideas of socialism are good, but people who executed them, they're wrong, wrong, maybe bad people. Maybe this is the reason. So let's examine it. Another story is about Korean Peninsula. As a result of their war, Korean War, the country was divided into two parts, socialist part north and capitalist part south. Today, South Korea is one of the most developed countries on earth. They manufacture and export cars, electronics, TV sets, all types of gadgets, and many other sophisticated products. The Koreans, South Koreans, live well, can travel, enjoy good housing, and free to pursue happiness any way they want. North Koreans North Korea is like a burned desert with tanks and other military equipment is the only product they really manufacture. The citizens of the country are afraid of their own shadows. If they even say that they want to leave, the secret police might throw them into jail and, in some instances, is really throwing them into arenas where hungry dogs eat their flesh. And their families, forced to watch it, clap hands, smile, and yell hail to the leader. This is not a very happy nation. However, if you ask any of them, North Koreans, they will tell you how blessed they are. They never complain. Why? I wonder. Anyone wants to immigrate to North Korea? No takers. You would definitely make the news if you would do. Maybe again, people in North Korea are not the right ones, to execute the great ideas of socialism. Maybe next ones will be better, and everything will be fantastic as it sounds. Another country, another story. At the beginning of the 20th century, Argentina became third most powerful country in the world. And in lawful election voted into power a socialistic visionary Juan Perón, who immediately began to introduce changes to this country he promised to make just for all. He promised to fundamentally change Argentina, and he was doing just that. Peronistas, this is how they call themselves, began to raise salaries of the workers. Great, right? Gave them many benefits that I'm sure they deserved, and began to cheerfully, take more and more money from the so-called rich. Peron has also nationalized several important sectors of their economy, stating that instead of few rich, now whole country will enjoy prosperity, and economy collapsed. In 1955, after bringing Argentina to total chaos and poverty, Perón escaped to Spain. It is possible that those ideas are wonderful, but all those people who are in charge and executed them looks like they're wrong and bad people. Okay, however, if those three samples is not enough, let's move further. Venezuela. Venezuela is a country with large natural resources. They are major exporters of oil and revenues are enormous. Recently, Venezuela went, socialistic way. They raised salaries of the workers, rich were paying more and more. Many industries were nationalized, and they almost reached their goal of total equality and equal happiness for all, but ran out of food. Terrible inflation rocked the country. Oil drilling equipment was breaking all over. Products disappeared from the store shelves and their lives become hell. Same explanation? Good ideas, bad people? Or bad circumstances? But if right people would implement those ideas, that would be wonderful. We just cannot find those good right people anywhere. That's the problem. Many countries attempted to build socialism in this or that form. Serbia, Vietnam with devastating results. Cambodia, Hungary, Poland, Czechoslovakia, Cuba. Now this once prosperous nation, is one of the poorest and most unhappy nations in the world, from which people attempting to escape preferring death to life in this socialistic paradise. Albania, another example of unhappy and poor nation. Angola, Belarusia, Mongolia, Romania, and list goes on and on and on, and includes the poorest and the least free countries in the world. In most of those countries, you can't even think about pursuing happiness your way. It is either government way or highway to Siberia, the cold place. Do you know about any attempts of American citizens to escape from Florida to Cuba? I don't know of any. However, Cubans risk their lives on daily basis, knowing they can be killed by Cuban border guard, or by bad weather, or by sharks. They risk their lives and escape every day. Can we safely assume that in all those countries the ideas were wonderful, but none of them were governed by right people to implement those wonderful ideas? Maybe people in general are not ready for those wonderful ideas. If we would be angels, everything would be easier, right? Our children often tell us that Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Finland are socialistic countries, and people over there live well. Maybe they're right. Maybe someone finally found a way how to implement socialism and build great life for the citizens of the country. So let's take a look. First of all, those countries only from afar appearing socialistic, probably because of the taxes perceived as high. However, those countries experience the very same problems that taking, more and more money from people who earn them and dispersing or distributing them to others were supposed to resolve. A very popular now among youth ex-contender in the president race in America, Senator Bernie Sanders, who was cheated by the Democratic Party and personally by Hillary Clinton, constantly called America to become like Scandinavian countries because they give free healthcare and free education. I will give you kind of funny example of taxes that Sweden at one point, imposed. Famous writer Astrid Lindgren, whom you know probably as the author of Pippi Longstockings, was to pay a bit more than, ready? A bit more than 100% of the money she received for publishing her books worldwide. Of course, she was greatly encouraged to continue writing and publishing. When in Sweden, they implemented these draconian just reforms aimed at equality of income, disregarding you earned it or not, the country went from the fourth wealthiest nation of the world to 14th place and was declining more and more, but Swedes elected right of the center party and changed many of those stupid and counterproductive measures. Now it is coming out of the crisis, and this year hopefully we'll have balanced budget, which I hope one day we will have here in America. You probably still think that Sweden's wealthy pay more than wealthy Americans, right? Rich in Sweden pay into national coffers 26.7% of the country's budget. By comparison, rich Americans supply 45.1% of our national budget. Oops, Senator. Apparently we have a bit more socialism than Swedes. How it is possible? And I want you to know that in Sweden, Denmark, Finland, and Norway, they have much bigger gap between rich and poor. In Scandinavia, rich owns between 65 to 69% of the wealth of the nation. Do you think Senator Bernie Sanders didn't know those figures? If not, he's a moron. Or he knew but forgot to mention it. Tch. Then he is, let me think for a second for a politically correct word, liar, scoundrel. I don't know, really don't know. You decide. Or maybe he wants us to be more like Scandinavia, so rich would have more than now, and he will enjoy it as well. His actions after his orchestrated defeat do not really show him as an honorable man. Purchasing the Force House wasn't really a good move. But we're talking about principles, not people, right? As a matter of fact, do you think Bernie or Hillary would be better implementers of socialistic principles than Romania, Hungary, or Argentinian socialists? Or they would try to steal a bit for themselves as well? Judging by what we know now, what do you think? I know what I think. Do you know, as a matter of fact, that during 8 years of Obama, rich got richer and poor got poorer in the United States of America? Look at stats yourself. I'm not going right now into the details. Denmark, an average family owes 310% of their annual income. Think about it, 3 years and a bit to work to pay it off, not taking even one cent for food or anything else. Swedish family owes 173% of their annual income. American family owes 114%. It is also a lot, but we are, doing comparisons, right? Looks like we're in a better situation here. The legend about good schools in Scandinavia is just a legend, or simply put, a lie. Swedish kids are on the 30th place among 37 industrial nations in math and reading. Not very good, right? American kids on the 27th place. Also terrible. We're supposed to be number one, but American system apparently produces better result than Swedish. Norwegian and Danish kids a bit better, but believe me, a little teeny-weeny bit. High taxes, siding with teachers unions against kids and so on brings always the same result, and result is not good for kids. Near Scandinavia, there is another country, also not large, also not very different by population, culture, etc., Switzerland. But it's one of the most capitalistic countries in the world, with highest economic growth and best training programs for jobs in the world. Where do you think go those who want to escape from Scandinavian paradise? You guessed. To Switzerland, the capitalistic sharks country. Every media, even the very left-wing newspaper Huffington Post, wrote that Sweden is the house of new technologies and, listen to that, one of the happiest nations on earth. Their educational system considered number 3 in the world, right after Japan and South Korea, not North Korea. The best Scandinavian educational system in Finland created students that are 4th in reading and 10th in math. Switzerland, rich, pay fewer taxes than we are here. National debt is less than Denmark, Finland, or Sweden. Norway has huge oil resources, reserves, and pay debt by selling oil. They were not crazy and didn't nationalize their industries like Venezuela did. And, it still works well because of the greed of capitalists. Strange. Greed is bad, but works well. Such a good idea, this socialism. It is so easy to take a bit from the rich, give it to the poor, and make everyone happy, right? However, it didn't work in even one single case. The moment people own something instead of owners, by people I mean everybody together, the whole country, the whole nation. Then this something destroys itself. Look at oil industries as the same Venezuela, right? To heavy industries in Argentina. Nationalized at the end of the 20th century, British car manufacturer Jaguar. It was almost destroyed by the government management and survived only because it was sold back to private hands. The road to socialism paved by good intentions and leads always to hell, directly into the welcoming hands of Satan. It is so strange to me that someone doesn't understand that. After all those failed, experiments and attempts, to repeat same and same and same and expect different results. But probably it is the result of our attempts to build the Babylonian tower and be like gods. We all now speak in different languages and do not understand each other. France, Germany, Belgium, Sweden will soon disappear, and on their place we'll see Mohammed London or Islam of Vienna. This is also results of the socialist philosophy and not thinking 3 steps ahead. Do I feel pity for Europeans who are about to change their religion and start learning history, philosophy, and everything else that makes our humanitarian world bearable? Yes, of course, but I like those who fight more. The Greek, even before Greek, great Jewish God Yahweh, who is also God of Protestants and Catholics and Alawites and Shiites and Sunnites and Adventures of the Seventh Day and Evangelicals, once said, on either Hebrew or Aramaic, he said, Telohem ve'ezorecha. That means fight and then I will help you. Fight, then God will help you. I will tell you a short story about what I saw on an early morning street called Ben Yehuda in Tel Aviv in a long forgotten 1974. 2 old ladies were rushing to a bus stop. They were far and the driver didn't see them. The bus closed doors and started moving from the stop. One of the ladies stopped, but another doubled her efforts. Probably she really needed to get, on this bus. She began to yell, wave hands, and run toward the departing bus, and miracle happened. Bus stopped, opened doors, and she boarded, and, they took off. The second lady, who surrendered to circumstances, was left to wait for the next bus. Telohem ve'ezorecha. Fight and then I will help you. The message is simple. Socialism never worked. There are certain laws of human nature that will not make it work ever. Stop. Ever. Stop. Socialism, equality, disregarding you had input in it or you're just a user, it always leads to stagnation, oppression, and either fascism or so-called communism, the USSR style. East Germany and North Korea went through the same thing. You can't change the fact that 2 plus 2 is 4. That objects are fall from your hands, not up but down due to the gravitational pull of Earth. However, if each of us will not fight, the greater good, the so-called greater good, will prevail. Like gangrene that starts from one leg and if not amputated, will overcome the whole body. Telohem ve'ezorecha. Or not. The choice is yours.